Hello, happy belated 4th of July. I don't know about you guys, but I cannot believe it is July already. But this week we are switching it up. I was recently sick, so our producer Remy did an incredible job holding down today's interview with a really fabulous artist, Ayoni. Her recent release, Purpose, has been on repeat for me, so I am just really excited for her to become a household name with a leading role in Alicia Keys' Uncharted documentary and an album on the way. Ayoni is a star on the rise, and today's conversation just really showcases her work ethic, creativity, and approach to her sound. More or less, let's get it. On More or Less, we are all about feeling good and looking good. So we're excited to tell you about our sponsor, Mind Plus Beauty. Season 4 is sponsored by the unique and innovative products of Mind Plus Beauty, whose science-based unisex approach to wellness and skincare will help you do just that. These dual-action facial oils are designed to help you take care of yourself and get more of what you need: sleep, energy, calm, focus, or uplift, while also being great for your skin. For my friends that gua sha or use a jade roller, Mind Plus Beauty's simple to use products are the way to go. They work across most skin types to protect the skin, reduce inflammation, and provide an all natural approach to wellness. So, whether it's a deeper, more restful night's sleep, an energy boost for busy days, a calmer state of mind, increased concentration, or a more positive mood, Mind Plus Beauty's products are designed to help you look and feel your best all day, every day. So if, like us, you like to both look good and feel good, visit mindplusbeauty.com to learn more. That's mind, P-L-U-S, beauty.com.
All right, guys. Welcome to More or Less. You may notice that this is a little bit different than usual. Jess is out sick this week, so I, Remy, am going to be taking over, having a wonderful conversation with Ayoni.
Yay.
So, real quick, we usually let our guests introduce ourselves. So,
Yeah, hi, my name is Ayoni. I'm a singer, a songwriter, a producer, and an artist. Yeah.
How are you feeling today, more or less?
I'm feeling really good. Feeling really relaxed this morning. Yeah.
What does relaxed look like for you?
I think just like not anxious or just kind of going with the flow.
Yeah.
I had like a lot of events like in the beginning of the week that were a little bit stressful and, consuming on my mental, but now it's...
Yeah, you had the show.
Yeah, I had the show, had the premiere, had a performance after the premiere at Tribeca.
Real quick, premiere. Explain for this.
Right. So I was a part of this delightful documentary called Uncharted. It was produced by Alicia Keys. She is the music. And Every Woman Studios, an Alicia Keys own production company. And Katie Couric as well, and Abby Rodriguez, I believe. But yeah, so no, Abby Greensfelder. There's two Abbys on this project. But it was basically started off at a songwriting camp in LA that was put together by Alicia Keys and She Is the Music. And that was a camp with 16 women, predominantly Black women, engineers, producers, artists. And we all came together and spent like 4 days creating music. And they chose to follow myself and two other of the participants of that camp from March of last year to December, and just wanted to really show throughout the documentary Uncharted what it takes for aspiring artists to someday chart, and kind of the behind the scenes, the work ethic, the ups and the downs of, being... There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them of being a woman in music. So that premiered at Tribeca on June 10th, this past Saturday. And after we did a performance, myself, Jean Doe, and Davion, the other two really talented women that were highlighted, we performed with Alicia Keys. So it was a lot of energy going into that event, just, preparation, all of us really wanting it to go smoothly and be super successful, and, obviously being a little bit nervous too to see how the audience received it. But it was so much love and so well received. So yeah.
This is your first time doing something cinematic like that?
Absolutely. I'm a very private person, and I honestly kind of just ended up I wasn't sure at the time when we had started filming how involved, I was going to be. I was kind of under the impression that they were following all of the women from camp, because after camp, they kept up with other people as well. But by the end of last year, I realized that it was just going to be myself and 2 other people that were really focused on. Yeah. Definitely panicked a little bit just because I am kind of private into myself, but it ended up being a really good challenge for me, and like brought me to meet some really talented people and to just have an opportunity to share a little bit of the behind the scenes of my creative process, which I really do think is valuable.
Yeah. Is there something that you were a little bit hesitant to like have shared in this kind of thing that you ended up being really excited for?
So, I actually made the choice to not share anything about my personal life.
Yeah.
I was like going through a lot last year and was just in a state of really figuring out who I was and, healing from situations. And I just didn't feel like putting that all on display in such a like vulnerable way. But I feel like sharing the behind the scenes of, my music video, my creative process, all of that ended up being really rewarding. And I think the way that I create, the way that I write lyrics, it is deeply vulnerable. So I think that's why I kind of have those boundaries around really sharing my personal life, because I feel like I do give so much in my art and I'm so open in that way. So I was really happy to, push myself just to speak about my creative process. And, we filmed at my home. We filmed, in different places in LA with collaborators that I love deeply. So it ended up being just all around a beautiful experience.
Could you talk a little bit more about that balancing act between, and like almost compartmentalizing between this your whole self and then like the part that you bring to the art? Because I'm sure that's something like a lot of artists, whether they struggle with it or not, it's like something that you have to deal with.
Yeah, you definitely have to reckon with, how transparent you want to be and in which places and why. I think for me, making the choice to have my artist project be my first name, Ayoni, it's really important that, I am open and I am transparent, and I feel like I bring my complete full self to the musical process with my lyrics, with my creations. Like I don't hold anything back in those ways. Yeah. So I think I've had, healthier boundaries around like I don't want to, film every aspect of like my private life, or I don't want to be on Instagram live every day with people. Like I try to have a pretty good balance of I'm going to show up completely fully in the art, but until the art is ready, I'm going to like
when we step in, we're going at 100.
When we step in, we're here. But until I make that step, this is my space, and I choose to honor it in that way.
It's funny because a lot of the artists that come in have these conversations around mental health. Like a lot of times that comes up, this balance between I have to share, what do I share, how do I balance what I want to share, and how do I make that decision of like what I want to share.
And that's like the thing. I think it's important for artists to remember you always have a choice, you always have agency. I think that nowadays in the age of social media, that kind of boundary is crept in on quite often, and I feel like it's important to take a moment as an artist to really ask yourself, what do I want to share? What do I feel comfortable? What are my lines? Because a lot of the time people don't ask, and they kind of forget that you get to make that decision. Nobody tells you what you have to share or how much you have to share. It's really important that, we all as artists take the time to just ask ourselves those questions, build some helpful boundaries, and, so we never feel exploited or we never feel, taken advantage of, because I feel like being an artist is already a deeply interesting thing. You yourself are the product, and just by nature of that, it can be a little interesting to navigate. So I think the more intentionality you can have around how you share and why you share and what you share, the easier it is to just focus on the craft and not feel jaded or resentful or anything like that.
You mentioned asking yourself questions.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the questions that you ask yourself to kind of think through that for, the people that are working on or like going through their own journeys of like making decisions?
So, I think a great example would be, with the song Purpose that like I just released on June 9th. That was a song I created after a breakup, and I chose not to talk about that in the documentary. I just made the decision. I thought about it and was like, I don't feel like that needs to be on display necessarily. I think the lyrics are so transparent and so clearly about, wishing someone well and finding your purpose and stepping into your destiny that you don't always have to beat, a dead horse over the head. So I think with myself, with that song, it was like, well, how can I talk about the meaning of a song in a meaningful way and draw attention to the lyrics without feeling like I have to pimp out my own trauma to do so, or my own story to do so. So I think,
without having to play a character in the media.
Yeah, play a character or, end up rolling yourself down a hill. So it's like, I think it's just important to ask those questions. I think in general, other kind of questions I ask is like, when I am promoting my music, how can I show behind the scenes of the process without feeling invasive? And some of the ways that I found are really helpful is recording in the studio as I'm making the songs. There you can see my creative process, my personality as I'm talking, with my collaborators, and you can feel really connected to the music, but I don't feel like I have to, let you into my house, or here's what I do every single day, or here's what my room looks like. I don't think any of that really draws you to the music anyways. So I think for me, everything I do, I want to keep it grounded in my art and my artistry, because that's what I want to be recognized for, not necessarily a personality or who I am. I don't think that's really what I'm, bringing to the table.
We believe people become the best versions of themselves when their minds and body are in the right place at the right time. Do you ever feel like our health needs to be scheduled into our day? Our morning coffee, our supplements, our skincare? We're limited on the products that help us maintain a balanced lifestyle in a healthy, easy, and convenient way. Our friends at Neuro did exactly that by putting nutrients that enhance your health and wellness into something intrinsically convenient, affordable, and portable: gum and mints. Formulated with B vitamins and natural caffeine, Energy and Focus provides the mental endurance necessary to stay focused on your goals. If you're looking for a steady state of mind, Neuro's Calm and Clarity products use vitamin D3 to optimize composure in the moments we need it most. For those that know me, I've been hyping up Neuro for quite some time, and I'm thrilled to partner with them for another season of More or Less. So if you'd like Neuro by your side too, click on the link in the description and use code More or Less for 10% off your first order of Neuro Gum and Mints.
Okay, so another question that we like to ask a lot here is, what do you need more of, and what do you need less of?
I think I need more of just intention and like a little bit more slowed pace. I really appreciate having people around me that are always concerned with like what I need, how I'm doing, how I'm feeling before anything. How you doing? How you feeling this morning? I think it's really important to have people around me that if I ever am in a bad headspace or just need a moment or I'm pretty anxious on a day, I feel comfortable to tell them that, and I know that they're going to immediately respond with whatever is best like for me. I have complete trust. I completely trust my team, and I'm really grateful for them. And they make it fun. They make life enjoyable. They make these stressful moments enjoyable because, good or bad, we're going to laugh about it together. We're going to talk about it together. And I know that, like, they care about me on a deeper level outside of music. I know that, like, they honor who I am. And so I think I love that. I always want more of that for every artist. I want every artist to feel the same way and to feel the same level of secure and safe and capable because of the people around them and because of, like, the structure and the foundation they've built there. I think I need less of, I don't know, maybe like, I feel like I'm in a really good place where I'm actually not super jaded. So I don't know. I feel like maybe I just need less of like negativity or other people's judgments or opinions. But I feel like I'm really happy with where I am in my career. It's really early, but I feel really good seeds have been planted, and like I'm working on my first album and, feeling really happy and safe to do so. I love the music. I love my collaborators. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe in general for the industry, I need less of I just think boxes. I think we're like obsessed with like, well, what do they sound like? And it's like, you know, I get it. As human beings, it's easier for us to relate to things in relation to other things. And just that's just kind of how we compartmentalize life. But I would love to see people listening to music really, really groundedly in a way that I haven't seen in a really long time. Like, I think when I was younger, I would just put on my favorite artist's music and I would just be in my room, vibing, just chilling, just listening all day long, all summer long. I'm just listening to my favorite records. And, you know, the first listen, it was like nothing is more important than just hearing this artist. I think nowadays there's so much music, there's so much, you know, going on, there's so much content that it can be oversaturated. It can be really tough to feel like, you know, you're cutting through, and it can be really hard for people to even listen to your music just on a completely clear space. It's like they'll be listening with the context of other things or what they think you should be or what they think you should sound like. But I think it's important for people to really be fans of music again. And just music for music's sake. It's like at the end of the day, like this metrics and numbers and all of these, you know, obsessions we have with data. I think data is really great after the fact, but it's rarely predictive. And I think we just need to let people's like creativity and souls just kind of speak for them and lead the way and just be fans of music again. Like, it's okay to just enjoy something. You don't always have to critique. And that's even for me, you know, sometimes as a creative, it's hard for me to listen and just turn my ears off or my mind off and just be present. But I think presence in general is something that like we could all benefit from.
This may sound very hipster of me, but do you ever buy like vinyls?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Have you been like, so that for me has been one of those things that what you're talking about, like listening,
just
with
listening
more
in your
intention,
home.
like waking up to like and putting on like a blues record, just like while you're doing the morning routine.
Come on, let's talk about it.
I
think that's why it's making a comeback. I feel like music in the home, you know, in a really real way is such a treasured experience. And I think, you know, aside from vinyl just sounding outstanding, it's kind of the whole process of it.
It's almost
you
like
know?
So me and my friend, both photographers, what kind of got me on this analog kick was I inherited a film camera. And it makes you do everything so much slower.
Right?
Because you have 34 chances to
Oh, literally.
And then you have to make sure like you get the right exposure and
Exactly.
And then even when you send it out, you're sending it out for 2 weends.
Right.
And then you'll see photos later. And then I was like, what happens when I do more of this? And I ended up getting a new needle for my record player. And I used to work at a record store way back in college. And I got this B.B. King Live at the Regal. And it's just, I feel like blues. Like, and I do have to say this, listening to your records, I very much feel like your voice is one that sounds fantastic live.
Thank you.
I haven't had a chance to experience it, but I'm hoping I get to soon.
Thank you.
It sounds fantastic on the records, and I'm sure it's something better live. But having that intention of like taking a needle off and then putting it on, it's like you can't pick the exact millisecond, you can't pick the song order, you just kind of set it and then you just let it go.
And it keeps you on your toes, the crackle. It's like, I feel like you're speaking my language because, you know, working on this album, I'm kind of like returning to simpler times. It's like, I definitely want this album to be pressed on vinyl. I definitely am going to shoot all the covers on film. It's a very like classic sounding record, and I really want it to just bring people back to being present, but
more like a package more than just a collection.
Like an experience, you know what I mean? I feel like we are losing the experience of music nowadays because it's so much, I don't know, digital is just different. And it's not, you know, worse or better, but I love the experience and the drama of just like, you know, everything we're talking about.
Yeah, and I feel like when you have a record like that, you can actually like have a record that you can sit down. The last record that I really did this, I don't even think it's the last record. I've done it with a couple records since, but one of like the most prevalent records in my memory was the Weeknd's album in the spring of 2020. I vividly remember the weekend that it came out because it was like the week. So I graduated in 2020.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was the week that they had told everybody to go home, and the entire campus was empty. And I remember like I was still like on campus because my housing was still on campus, and they were like, "Oh, we're not sure if we're gonna really kick everybody off. Or maybe we'll be back by the end of the semester." And so the whole place was empty, and I just put the weekend record on. I didn't have like the actual record to put on my phone, and we used to have, I lived in a fraternity house, so we had 2 giant speakers, and I just turned them and sat right like on the floor. Right in front of them. And it's like sitting there for that 40 minutes of just like listening to like a whole like a package.
Yeah,
it hits different.
It hits different.
How do you think about bringing that kind of intention into like this album that you're working on right now?
I think it's about taking my time. You know, I think it's really easy to get caught up in the speed of like, I got to put something out. I got to be in the conversation. I got to move faster. Da, da, da. And it's like, that's, you know.
Especially in an industry where it's so
fast.
Hey,
everyone acts
take a week
like.
Off, they might forget about you.
Right. They act like your time is finite. And it's like, I think what I'm realizing is taking your time will take you further, will hit harder, will be such a bigger impact. I feel like, you know, it's really easy to feel the need to rush.
Yeah.
But with this album, I'm really just enjoying like taking my time, building these records up. I want everything to be very live, to be very organic, and just to feel different and intentional. So that'd probably be my main thing is you don't have to rush. If what you're doing is unique and going to create space for you, you're kind of only racing yourself. Like, I think that's the thing. If you're trying to if you're trying to put a sound that's out, you need to rush because we don't know how long it's going to be here for. But if you're trying to do something that's unique to you, go at your own pace and put it out when you're ready, and it'll be, eternal.
What are some of those things that, because you mentioned those feelings of like wanting to, needing to get that thing moving. Mm-hmm. How do you ground yourself and like keep yourself in that intention of taking your time?
Yeah, it's a balancing act. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like I'm kind of more of a artist that misses the more traditional, round of put an album out, disappear for 2 or 3 years, put another one out, and just taking the time to like live life and be inspired and create music and do the whole thing. I think cycles are really, really short nowadays, and records don't really live. Records used to chart for like a year, 2 years.
I forget.
It's like 3 months now.
I think it was a comedian. They were like, art comes from life. And it was like, if you want to make art, you have to have
a life. I think that's what people forget. You're not going to be inspired to make music if, your whole experience is just working. And it's like, I enjoy working, but I don't really want to only write music about how jaded the music industry makes me feel. Like, I'd rather write about human experiences that other people can relate
go out
to.
And, like, experience wonder that
gives
you like...
boredom, love. Like, these are all the things that I think connect us. So for me, I think the balancing act is like, I have my season. So I have my season where I'm not recording anything. I'm just living life. I'm doing, sessions with people. I'm just exploring my sound. I'm just having fun. And then I have seasons where I'm like, okay, I have an idea. I have a concept. Yeah. This is what I want to create something about. Yeah. And I spend time starting to like build the songs, build the track list, and just try to tell a story. And then there's the season of, executing, shooting the covers, shooting the content, finishing the records, performing the records. And then you do it again, live, be inspired, create, execute. And then work the records. And I feel like for me, that's just like a healthy little flow.
Yeah. Talking about that flow, and then also like you have this documentary. What's your relationship with like filming behind the scenes stuff and having that kind of content creation during that part where you're kind of creating this space for yourself to be vulnerable?
I used to be very precious about it and be like, I don't want anyone to know. Yeah.
Keep the camera
how I record my backgrounds. But it's like, they can't record it how I record it. If they could, they would. Like, I think it's important to know that like when you do you, you do you. And like people can be inspired by that, but at the end of the day, like, being incredibly precious about it, I'm here for a short time. I'm going to die. My music will live on. So either way, I feel like letting people see how things are created, like, it only adds to the connection. It only adds to the story. And even for myself, I kind of black out in the creative process. So a lot of the times I'm like, I don't remember how that choice was made or why, like, I don't remember. So for myself, I enjoy kind of like archiving these moments, and someday I'll look back and might get a whole new creative win just remembering how I used to create. So yeah, I enjoy it. And I think with this album, I kind of want to document like every step that I can, and have, put together some footage just for people who love the music to see a little bit more of like how it was made. Yeah.
The way you talk about creating and, with the behind the scenes stuff, it feels like you're really comfortable in your artistry now.
I am. I feel like I don't have anything to prove. I don't feel like I'm competing with anyone. I just feel like I'm like me, and I'm just doing me, and like I want my light to shine, But yeah, I just feel like the anxieties and I've never ever felt anxious about my process. I've never felt insecure about my music. I've never felt unsure of my potential. I feel like the only issues I've ever had have been with the industry or how I'm going to be received or if I'm going to be able to, be understood or, even for people to be incentivized to work with me. It's always just more about like the world and how they receive me and if, they'll make space for me. But I'm also, a hard worker. I'm very determined. I'm very competitive. So I'm not going to stop making music. I'm not going to stop, my flow. At some point, something's going to give. So, it's just enjoying the process and being, hopeful and humble and just continuing to do what I do.
Yeah. Okay. I ask this because I feel like so often, even when things are going well or like there's these regular things that are happening in my life, there's always like a lot of times there'll be a question or like a statement in the back of my head that is like, you may not even talk too much about it, but it's something that it consistently comes back of like something that you're thinking about in the moment. Do you have something like that right now? Like what's something that, like a question that you've been pondering a lot lately that maybe you haven't talked about a lot?
I mean, I feel like the only thing that I'm exploring right now is just who I am as a person, completely devoid from music or art or whatever, just like me in this moment. Because I feel like, I was in a relationship for a really long time. I was in college for, 4 years. I graduated in 2021. And,
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, just being a teenager and then becoming a woman, it's like, whoa, gotta like look up for a minute and just tap back in with myself because I feel like I always understand what I like, what I want, what I need. I'm very decisive about myself. But in terms of just like meeting myself and kind of just getting to know more about like the woman that I am today, I think that's just where I am. And I think like the process of this album is just kind of helping me like ease back into kind of like dating myself, getting to know myself, enjoying myself and my company and just like having more fun with like being alone. And I think this whole album is honestly about loneliness and being alone. And I don't even want to frame loneliness as...
It's more like solitude.
It's about the self. It's about, the solitary. And I feel like there's power in that. There can be loneliness in that, but there's power, there's potential, there's freedom in that. And I think for me, that's like the question of the year, of the next couple of years, is just like the power of the self and like what there is to uncover with that.
Yeah. I just read this book. Do you read a lot by any chance?
I do, yeah.
Right, I'm going to have to ask you for some book recommendations later. It's actually my 101st book.
Wow.
And it's titled Plays Well with Others. It's about like community and the rules, relationships, playing our lives and like the things that we misunderstand about what relationships are.
Right.
And One of the things that it mentions is he talks about this difference between loneliness and solitude, and how loneliness came up because people essentially either lost solitude or lost comfortability with it, and then
Both,
started to be disconnected from their like communities, because loneliness is something that you can have, like you can be in a crowd and still experience loneliness,
right?
And then solitude, like loneliness in a negative aspect, only came up in like the 1800s. And this aspect of solitude, you hear a lot of people talk, like Rick Rubin talks about this a lot, of like his studio that's like over in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. I even know the Bill Gates, CEO of Microsoft, like he had this whole thing where he would take a week a year and just go off to a cabin in the woods.
I mean, even like Bon Iver for Emma Forever Ago.
Yeah.
He went through like a heartbreak. I think like he lost a loved one and he just moved to a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
And made this like life-changing fucking record that just came about because he wanted to see where he was at and how he felt, and he didn't want to interact with the world around him. And like, I think we frame loneliness from this really fearful place, you know what I mean, where it's like, oh, if you don't have someone beside you, you know, you're less than. I feel like even in high school sometimes I would have friends that were like, I don't like walking by myself. Will you walk with me here? And I'm like, of course, but also like, damn, like you should definitely be able to do life by yourself. Like, you know, no matter what, like that's important. It's important to be comfortable in your skin and not need to tether yourself to someone or something to feel okay or to feel content or to feel, you know, successful. So yeah, I think that for me, the album, there's like a lot of power in this question of, you know, solitude and what that can bring to the table. It can unlock a whole other potential in you if you just get comfortable in your skin.
What are your favorite ways of experiencing solitude?
I love watching movies. I feel like films are something that like in the past couple of years I've really started to like love. And I feel like it's definitely gonna reflect in like my videos, but I just love film. I love the medium, you know, of like cinematography and just how impactful shots can be. So that's kind of my main one. I'll go to the cinema, like I'll watch stuff just at home. I like going to the beach. I like going to museums. And I also like shopping too. Enjoy like just going around getting
Love a good shopping
new
trip.
stuff. Yeah.
What are some of your favorite movies that you've watched lately?
Lately I saw In the Mood for Love. I think that's a gorgeous film. The last one I saw, I can't remember the name. It was on Netflix, and it was about like an alcoholic, and she moved to this motel. She started working at this motel and tried to like, you know, regain her sobriety. And she had like a son, and she had won the lottery, and she like spent all the money on like drugs and alcohol, and, you know, lost her relationship with her son, and was really trying to regain that, you know, for herself as well. It was really interesting though. I really liked it. Kept me interested the whole time.
Definitely gonna have to find that later.
Yeah, it's really like recent. It came out in 2022. Yeah,
Netflix.
Yeah, they actually been throwing some bangers out, low key,
all the time.
Yeah.
You said movies, and like now I just have to sweat.
All
It's
these
like
ideas
running in my brain because that movie was just. Oh,
I also love shows too, I will say.
Ooh, shows.
I love The Sopranos. I feel like that's a really, really well shot show.
Yeah.
Love Snowfall. Miss it. It's over now. You should. It's really good. I live in LA, and it kind of explores like the rise and fall of a family during the crack epidemic. Really masterfully shot. Yeah, you should check it out.
We'll definitely check it out. All right, getting a little bit granular. What's like one of those small habits that you have that it's like absolutely necessary for you in showing up every day, but like other people might think is like silly, or they might gloss over it and not even notice?
A habit that I have. Being late? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny because like some people have like the tiniest little things that is like absolutely necessary. Like mine is like every single thing goes in a specific. I need to put it in that specific place in like in order. Everything goes in my backpack and like it goes in order.
My life be looking a little.
But I have to be honest. Like people think that I'm like the most organized. People will say like, "Oh my god, you're so organized. You're like such a neat person." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I do this because I'm so messy." And it's
okay,
it's like a paradox.
That's cool
of like
though.
Some of the it's also just like when you have like a short attention span, or like you are so often, it's easy to lose track of things. It makes it so much more critical to like have things in like
place.
Things in reliable places.
Yeah.
So you don't have to spend energy being like, oh my god, like where's my wallet? I know it's in the same pocket. So now when I sit down and talk to you, I can really think creatively about the question.
Exactly.
I forget who talked about that. Might have been another Rick Rubin conversation.
It often is.
Have you ever listened to Broken Record?
Not recently, but like I've heard about it. Yeah. And then a friend was telling me to read the book that he recently put out.
So a friend also told me to read the book, and I actually talked to one of our previous guests about like he read the book. I was like, all right, now I have to.
Yeah, because we had a whole conversation about some of the things he had said that he had found interesting. It's my friend JQ. He's an engineer. We'd be talking, and like he's definitely was like, you gotta read this book. You're gonna love it. Like,
the book is something. Speaking of another book, have you ever read The War of Art?
The War of Art?
Yeah.
No.
That's another one.
What's it about?
The War of Art. Of,
like, okay, period.
Showing up and sitting down. It's literally this big.
Okay.
It's actually still in my top 5. Speaking of books, what books have you been reading lately? What are some of your faves?
So the book I've been reading most recently is called The 90s. And it just kind of explores the 90s, honestly. I'm interested in like American culture and
Are
like
you mostly nonfiction, fiction?
I'd say mostly like fiction. I feel like, yeah. But I do like nonfiction. Yeah. But yeah, this book is more like, I don't know, just kind of exploring like the rise and fall of certain like cultural moments in American culture, but also like Western in general. But yeah, it's interesting.
I feel like historical fiction especially. It's like when you get to just get context about the things that we see every day. Yeah,
because it's always interesting to know why people responded to certain things, and like I feel like lately I've kind of been interested in like art that shifted the trajectory. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I feel like The Sopranos is a show that like literally shifted the trajectory of like what came next, how television could be used as a medium, how people responded to television. Like it's always interesting to see kind of like the catalyst for like certain like renaissances. Yeah. But yeah, definitely like the 90s. You should check it out.
I will definitely check it out. It's going on the list. It's been a long list. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to shout out? Things that have been on your mind?
Just stream the music, y'all. Stream. But no, you know, I'm kind of just in a in-between period where it's like I'm working on the next batch. So, yeah.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to the next batch.
Yeah, me too.
Very much looking forward to trying to catch you the next time you're in New York.
Yes, of course.
I end up in LA and you end up
in LA.
It has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. You did an amazing job.
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your trip.
You too.
Thank you for listening to More or Less with Jess. To learn more about our podcast, head to moreorlesswithjess.com or follow us on Instagram at moreorlesswithjess. Here at More or Less, we talk a lot about affirmations and the power of positivity. So we're excited to talk to you about our sponsor, Notes to Self Socks. At Notes to Self, they know that words can make all the difference, so they put affirmations where your brain can see them each and every day, right on your toes. Notes to Self's comfy, marathon-tested socks are made right here in the USA in a variety of colors and sizes for you and all your friends. So if you want to walk a mile in our uplifting footsteps, go to notes2self.com today to order your very own daily dose of positivity.
Podcast with Jess.